I'm going to start this one off by telling you a bit of a story, okay? So when I was about 15, 16 years old, there was a girl that I liked, okay? And I decided, I put off, say, asking her out for, say, like 6 months or something. It was one of them ones where back in these days, I had no clue about women. I had no idea about, female psychology, any of that stuff. I was terrible at talking to women, really like awkward. And I decided to muster up the courage to ask this girl out, okay? And I remember the time I did it, I was in my bedroom, right? And effectively, it was like, obviously fucking Snapchat, like kids message on Snapchat these days. Um, it was on Snapchat, and effectively, you can literally see, obviously on Snapchat, you can see when they start typing, when someone starts typing, okay? So I started typing out this message, all right? And I remember at the time, I literally crafted out, like perfectly tried to craft out this message, right, that I was going to send to this girl that was like asking her out, okay? And like I said, 15, 16 years old, literally probably out I think this was probably like one of the first times I'd ever actually asked out a girl, right? And crafted this message, like trying to make sure it was like perfect and everything, trying my best to make sure it wasn't cringe or something. Literally pasted it into my notes, read it out to myself, and I was like, right, okay. And then I pasted it into the type box basically, and I remember this message was basically sat in this type box for about half an hour. I could not grow the bollocks to just press send, all right? I literally could not send this message. It genuinely was striking fear into me just by doing this, okay? Just by simply sending this message to a girl. Like, it took me at least half an hour to just press send, and eventually I got, I got the bollocks to press send, and I threw my phone to the side and I just basically left it. I waited and I did not touch it for about an hour, okay? And during that hour, I was just literally so nervous. I was shit. I was almost like shaking in fear, and and when I look back on it now, it's like hilarious to me because it's like I was scared at basically just, well, effectively telling a girl I liked her, okay? When, they call it asking out. And now, obviously, I'm 19 years old. I've grown a lot since then. A lot has happened to me. I've had a lot of experiences. I've gained so much knowledge in the dating scene. I've gained a lot of knowledge in this area of life. And I'd say I'm pretty competent with it now. So I believe I'm qualified to effectively analyze these mistakes I made in the past and give you a lot of advice based on that, okay? Now, the reason why this was so like why I was so fearful to send this message to this girl at the time was, again, and I've preached this before, it was this concept of asking her out, okay? I'd almost labeled it as asking her out because it was labeled as that, because I had this perception that that's what it was. It was such a big deal to me. It was such a big, like, scary thing that I'd like not done before. And again, it was something that I was new to technically, so I hadn't done it like much before. I had, well, if any time, I think it was probably it must have been either my first or second time properly asking a girl out. So it was just unfamiliar. It was unfamiliar territory, and realistically, the stuff you're scared of and the stuff you're uncomfortable with is simply stuff that you've just not experienced enough of. Okay, you're just not familiar with it. You're not comfortable with it. Okay, so it was an uncomfortable and unfamiliar territory for me. So that's the reason it was uncomfortable. But the main reason it was uncomfortable is purely because it was this concept of, oh, I'm asking her out, this is such a big deal, okay? And as I've preached before, when you've got this perception of stuff, it's the same with cold approach, right? If you've got this perception that you're cold approaching a girl and you've labeled it as cold approach, right? You're gonna go over there and you're gonna be really nervous, aren't you? And because it's made a big deal in your mind, and you're gonna stutter, and it's not gonna come across how you want it to come across. Your energy is gonna come across nervous. So it's the same in texting a girl. Look, by the way, this was a text I sent. This wasn't even in person, all right? And I was still fearful to send a text to a girl. It was crazy, bro. Like, crazy how far I've come. But there are also young men who are in this similar position, and I have complete empathy for them because I've been in that exact position, literally being fearful to send a message to a girl saying that I liked her. And again, it was this thing where you had it in your head, or you have it, some young men have it in their heads where you have to do this almost big gesture and this big, like, oh, asking her out message, or you have to go over and ask her out with fucking flowers or some shit like that. And you simply don't. When it comes to asking girls out, don't ask them out, right? You need to stop like asking girls out. For guys that are doing this, it's such an outdated thing, and it's something that was like, it's for kids basically. It's what you do, and when you're a kid, and it's like, oh, go and ask out fucking whoever the fuck, right? Whichever girl that you liked at the time. It's like, That's what kids do, okay? You don't do that when you're well, you don't, that's not someone who is good with women does, okay? You don't go asking girls out. You don't go crafting messages like, oh, you know, I've liked you for a really long time. Like, no, that's not attractive. That's not going to get her to like you back, in a sense. That's not going to make you attractive at all, okay? What you instead have to do is forget this label of asking girls out and forget this whole perception. Don't have it as a perception, all right? If you just simply have it as, you know, you can just flirt with a girl and then in a joking kind of way, you know, make it clear to her that you like her. You don't have to necessarily tell girls directly that you like them. This is the thing. And the problem with this is, like, you end up in these positions where you have to almost tell a girl that you like her because you're not showing it with your actions, okay? You have to be very, very clear. And trust me, when you make it clear, it's known to women. And that's obviously where you have to learn all the different, you know, aspects of this, like flirting, how to text girls, how to talk to girls. You have to learn all of that, which we do teach inside of my one-to-one coaching program. So if you're interested in that, I'll leave a link to the application in the description. And I will also leave a link to my Instagram if you want to DM me instead. But essentially, you need to show this with your actions. Okay, you need to stop asking girls out, because that's not going to get you anywhere with them, and it didn't get me anywhere back then. Okay, and it doesn't get young men anywhere. Okay, I teach that. I've taught that to many clients who have said to me, oh, you know, I keep asking girls out and they keep saying no, I keep getting rejected. And the reason you're getting rejected is because you're asking them out, okay? It's simple as that. You're not going to, like, you know, there's no possible way you can actually get rejected if you don't ask girls out and you simply just make it clear to them that you like them. You know, obviously, if you're making it clear that you like a girl and she says, oh, shit, bro, just got a message, sorry. And she says, oh, you know, I'm not looking for a relationship or whatever, I'm not looking for anything right now, then that's fine. You know, at that point, it's fair enough. Like, you back off and you withdraw yourself. That's not you getting rejected. That's just her making her intentions clear, okay? And you've made yours clear, and that's fine, okay? That's perfectly fine. But it's as simple as, you don't go asking girls out. You don't go going over to her saying, oh, I like you, or sending some big text message, because it's not attractive and it's not going to, you know, it's just not going to come across well. Your energy is going to come across a bit weird and it's a bit childish. Instead, you need to learn how to flirt. You need to learn how to text girls properly. You need to learn how to talk to them. You know, make it clear with your actions, okay? And honestly, this takes time. Like I've said before, this does take time. This takes work. This is why I teach this, okay? Again, description below. And we've taught many young men how to, you know, go from literally being socially autistic with women, like not knowing how to talk to them in any regard whatsoever, or, you know, going up to girls and stuttering and, you know, getting genuinely nervous and fearful around women, to being generally, like, within a week, going to nightclubs and pulling like 3 or 4 girls in one night. Like, we've done that with young men. We've had young men do that. All right. So that is how we know exactly what we're talking about. We know all of the, you know, in-depth details and secrets that you don't know and that we can't share on YouTube, all right? So, essentially, the message of this video is, do not ask girls out. Do not ask them out. Don't have this big, you know, gesture towards them, and don't be like, you know, craft this big message. And the way to do this, okay, is simply by, and the way to, I can't fucking speak, or talk about stuttering, here I am stuttering on a fucking video. The way to make this experience less fearful, okay, even if you were to, let's say you were to ask a girl out, okay, and you were going to do this big text message or whatever. I don't recommend you do this, but if you were going to do this, the way to make it less stressful is simply by removing that perception of it, of, oh, it's asking a girl out. And instead, you know, just have it as, oh, just telling her something, okay? Just telling her how I feel, sort of thing, not asking her out. Don't make it this big thing in your brain, because the bigger it is in your head, the more nervous you're going to be and the more scared you're going to be of that situation. But I don't recommend you asking girls out at all. Don't do it. It's for kids. Instead, learn to flirt, make your actions, make it very clear, you know, be playful and be, you know, just be like almost teasy with it, all right? You know, you can very obviously make a girl aware that you like her with your actions and the way you text her and the way that you interact with her, okay? She's just going to know that. And if you're talking to a girl or you're texting her, or you're just talking to her in person or whatever, you can make like you can slip a few like flirty jokes in there along the way, you know, making it very obvious that you like her, right? Rather than, oh, by the way, I like you. She's not going to be attracted to that at all. Like, it's just going to make you come across a bit weird, okay? So, yeah, get rid of this perception that, oh, asking her out, I like you. Get rid of that whole perception. Stop making it a big deal in your brain, because the bigger of a deal it is in your head, the more weird you're going to come across, okay? So, obviously, I learned that the hard way, bro, trust me. And obviously, yeah, I was only 15, 16 years old, but again, I learned a lot of lessons from that, and I've I've basically just experienced a lot. I've taken a lot of action since then. You know, I haven't had some handout, and I never had someone to kind of teach me how to do this. I basically just had to learn myself and learn the hard way, and fail and get rejected and all this other stuff just to get to the point where I am now. So I recommend you go and do the same. I recommend you go and, you know, just practice this stuff, okay? Practice texting, flirting, interacting with women, doing it, just doing it, okay? Taking action, because you're going to learn effectively what women like, what they don't like, what they respond well to, what they don't respond well to. That's just how you learn, okay? You take action, you fail, you succeed, you learn, you take action again, you fail again, you learn again, and you take more action until the point where you've gained so much knowledge. You just hit that point, don't you, where like you just know and it all clicks, and then you kind of just are that guy. That's just simply how it is. That's how life goes. But as you're doing this, just, yeah, I'm here to educate you so that you can kind of get to that point a lot quicker and make less mistakes. And so you just kind of know, you know, you don't have to make the mistake, because I'm just telling you so that you know. You know, stop with this. And this is not just, and like I said, this isn't just for asking girls out. Like, I don't think you should do that at all. This is for anything, like cold approaching, like even, you know, texting a girl, just talking to a girl in general. Stop making it this big thing in your head, and stop perceiving it as, oh, I've got to talk to a girl, I've got to cold approach a girl, and I've got to ask a girl out, and oh, I'm going to text this girl tomorrow, or whatever it is, or I'm going to slide into this girl's DMs. Stop making it this big deal. Stop making it this big, stop perceiving it as this whole big deal, okay? Because it isn't. It's not at all. You just have to treat her like she's a person. Say, humanize her, okay? You know, you guys have got her on, you've got girls on pedestals, and because you've got her on pedestals, you're seeing her as superior to you, okay? And you're acting that way, and you're coming across as like the inferior, like the beggy little peasant. You don't want to come across like that at all. You don't want to come across desperate. Treat her like a human, and carry yourself like a fucking G, bro, because that's what you are, you know? Treat yourself like the prize. Women are waking up every day wanting big, strong, powerful, rich guys, okay? Go and work hard to be that guy for her, okay? Go and work hard to, well, not for her, for yourself. Go and work hard to be that guy, and women will just come to you, bro. Trust me, you don't have to go chasing women like that. You don't have to go, oh my God, I'm going to ask this girl out. You don't even have to be doing any of that shit, all right? Because simply, you don't need to once you hit a certain level. But obviously, I know that not all of you are at that certain level. I'm not even at that certain level. I'm not at that, you know, incredibly rich and powerful state yet. I'm just a fucking kid with a camera, you know. But I'm just giving my advice on what I've learned. I've learned everything to do with female psychology. I've learned the way they operate. I've learned what they respond to. I've learned everything about women, so I can give that advice. And I am competent with women without being rich, powerful, strong, you know, all that other stuff. I mean, I say that I'm fucking jacked, but do you know what I mean? Essentially, you don't need to be rich and all those other things, and you don't need to be the top 1% in order to attract women, okay? Is my point. As long as you understand everything, because I've proved that. If you understand everything to do with women, and you understand this area of life, then you can be competent in that area, okay? And that's all I teach you boys. I try to educate you boys, okay? You know, hold yourself like a boss, carry yourself like a boss, all right? Be confident, shoulders back, you know, be nice and relaxed. Have confidence in yourself. Go to the gym, work on yourself. Have that general confidence in yourself to go out and just speak to whoever you want. You know, she's just a person, all right? Just speak to her. She's a person. Speak to you like you would your friends. Imagine the way you speak to your friends, how witty and funny and charismatic you are. Imagine if you could be that way with girls, okay? You can. That's the thing. You literally can. But because you're perceiving talking to the girl as a big deal, you're not talking to her like you do. Right, I'm going to wrap this one up because my phone's spazzing out now. But as I was saying, if you could treat girls the same way you treat your friends and perceive them in that same way, okay, because you're comfortable with talking to your friends, if you can get comfortable talking to women and perceive them the same way, you know, not this big deal, talking to women, humanizing them, then you'll be much more attractive because you'll be more effective at communicating with them.